All right, so we have Phillip here today, our Phenom. He is a professional speaker, college instructor, and producer who helps individuals become intentional in building their personal brand. So, over the last 6 years, he's done a lot of things, you guys. He's become an ESPN producer, written 4 books, giving 2 TEDx talks, produced 2 albums, and help schools raise over 6 figures. So, wow, that is a lot of things. So, could you
Thank you.
tell the audience a little bit about your story?
Yeah, I think the best way to sum up my story, without boring anyone, is I used to be a collegiate athlete. I'm just gonna be real. Never want to bore anyone. I just want to get straight to the point. I was a collegiate athlete, and I ran track and cross country. Wasn't the fastest, but somehow they let me in. They gave me a uniform, but I ran it. And I was injured. I fractured my leg running cross country in one of our championship races, and I still wanted to get back to the team. And so obviously I couldn't do that physically. So I was like, how else can I do that? So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll use my video skills to be able to get back to the team and be a video reporter, like a interviewer, editor, do the highlights and all that type of stuff, because I had been working in television for maybe about four years at that point. Maybe like, yeah, no, yeah, maybe like 5 years, maybe something like that, 5 years, whatever, maybe. And so that really started to pick up, and I did really great things for university. They gave me the offer to be their ESPN Plus producer. When ESPN came to the school, they were like, we need a producer. Since I had a television background and they saw what I did with the team and the interviews and all that, they're like, hey, take this role. So I was like, as long as there's a check there, I'm down. So I ended up doing that, ended up growing my brand a lot around being someone within sports. And then from there, I ended up working for a minor league baseball team and a news station after I graduated from college. And it was way too much. I was working like 17, 16-hour days, ended up feeling like an anxiety attack at work. And I was like, I got to find another way to make money that's not having me physically at location all the time. And that's how I ran into e-commerce and drop shipping and selling products online. And when I dove into that, I was really self-taught marketer. I had to understand a lot about branding. So I understood more about that, and I started to be a little bit more intentional about my own personal brand. And that's how I built everything up over the last 6 years. Like, okay, I want to be someone that motivates someone to take action, to just be a little bit better version of themselves. And so that's kind of how my Phenom brand started. And I ran with it. It's been like 6.5 years. I'm still doing so much that I'm happy to say that if I know for a fact it's been able to put people in a better place, change their mindset, and just give them opportunities. And yeah, we're still running with it like 6.5 years later, and I don't plan on slowing down.
Wow. And so you're a person that's like multi-talented. You do like multiple things. So how do you decide sort of like what you're going to do next? And then like how much time do you take in between projects when you're, deciding to switch?
That's a great question. So I actually take a lot of time in between projects, more time than most people probably would assume. So every single project I complete probably gets completed within, if I'm being real with you, I'm gonna go between 24 hours to a month. And I typically, if I'm doing a month on a project, I'm really taking my time. But for the most part, it's 24 hours to a month, because when I get an idea about something, and to answer that question, how I get these ideas, it just comes from inspiration. It comes from indulging other people's content, people that inspire me, mentors, things of that nature. Just being outside and just staring at the stars or whatever it is, and just touching grass, like just letting things come to me naturally sometimes. Um, I'll lock in. I'm really good at hyper focusing. Maybe it's a version of ADHD, because I have seen that I have seen that hyper focusing is like something that people that have ADHD have, and I'm really good at it. So I'll just lock in and be like, all right, I'm gonna write this book in 2 days or something like that. So I was actually supposed to write a book this month, but I just haven't gotten around to touching my computers to do it. So I don't know. Maybe when I get back from a trip, I'll have a book that's written. But yeah, so I'll do the projects within like a couple weeks or whatever, and then I just won't do anything until something else comes to my mind. I don't plan it out; just whatever I feel compelled to do.
Honestly, that's how
Just
I
for
live my
real.
life. Whenever I decide to do that, I'm just like, well, I'll just do that. That's literally how I've been living
Yeah.
life for these past few months. So, like, with the book writing, like, what is your process for that? Because you've written 4. What is your process for it? Do you self-publish? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. So the process for it, each one has been slightly different. The first one was the ebook. I had 2 ebooks, a co-author book and a solo book. That's like a book slash journal. The ebook, all of them were self-published. Let me answer that one straight up. It's self-published. And the ebooks are all driven by what I'm looking to do next. And so the first one, the ebook, was to introduce people to my brand. And so that's kind of how I went through the process of writing that. It's like, well, who is Phenom? What does Phenom stands for? Preparation, hustle, education, network, overcome, and mentorship. So it's like, okay, that's what I'm going to have each chapter of the book around. And then the next book, it was centered around my first podcast. So I named it literally the exact same thing as my podcast. So I can kind of go off of those 2 for marketing and whatnot. And I wanted to have like an affirmation / goal journal in it because that's what I like. So I was like, why not create something that I also like as well? And so that's what I did for that. The third one was a collaboration book with other athletes that are entrepreneurs now. So I was actually approached to be in that book. So that's how I ended up becoming an author. And within that, so each person just wrote 1 chapter within the book. And there were 20 of us overall. So the 20 chapters in the book, athletes, what's the name of the book? Athletes and Entrepreneurs, Volume 2. And then the fourth one was just an ebook because I just had an idea. I was just like, people, they don't cut to the point enough. And I'm just like, just give me the facts. Give me what I'm looking for. So I named that one Ignore the Fluff. And so the whole point of that book was to basically just get to the point of what you're doing in life. But there's also a hidden test in there that I always like to see if people end up passing that test. But yeah, those were kind of how I went about the thought process for the 4 books. And I just sit down and I just write it. Like I said, I just log in, I ignore everything else that's going on in the world, and I just get to typing or talking because I would do a lot of times voice to text as well to make it faster.
Yeah. And this is kind of like a side question, but I noticed you said like you had something with like athletes and entrepreneurs. How do you feel like athletes and usually go to being the athlete to an entrepreneur? Because I remember I saw a documentary on Netflix and it was like how they're always broke. So what was that about?
Yeah, so it truly varies. It depends on what level that you get to. Now, I'm going to speak generally. I can't speak for every single person. So if anybody's listening to this right now, it's like that wasn't my journey as an athlete. Well, obviously, I'm not talking about you then. You have some athletes that, of course, they make it to the league and they're professionals, but that's like the only thing they ever focus on, and they're not necessarily too smart with their money, and they don't maybe have a financial advisor, or they're not putting in investments, or maybe they're not starting up a business on the side because you can't be athletes forever. Like even now, like I still participate in athletics, but I'm not a professional. Like I do it for fun. Like even a professional athlete, you're not going to be a professional athlete forever. So you're gonna have to figure out another way to make money. And so for a lot of athletes, and I'm not even just talking about professional athletes, we put so much time into our craft that was our job. I remember plenty of times, just like 4 or 5 hour days between practice, weight rooms, film study, all that type of stuff. And you're not indulging into other skills that you can develop, like video editing or professional speaking or coding and things like that. You can, but you're going to run yourself dry. And people do it all the time. Don't get me wrong. It's very possible, but the majority don't because of the physical and mental demand that it takes to be an athlete. So the way that they end up transitioning to an entrepreneur, they take that same hustle, the drive that they have as an athlete, and they put it into a business, and they just started up that way. Because also most athletes have been on small teams through their entire career, and so maybe big corporations don't work for them, and they just don't like that type of corporate setting, so they just start their own thing.
Yeah. And so like with your many different projects, like when you start your projects, like is your money making plan sort of like in the background of your thoughts, like how you're going to be able to actually monetize this project, or is this sort of like you just throw it out there and figure it out later?
Great question. So in the beginning, no. Nowadays, yes. So before, everything I was doing were more so like passion projects. I just wanted to get the value out there, share what I was learning, focus on just building the brand. And I built that foundation really well for like the last 6 years, 5, 6 years now. So now what I'm doing is I'm moving with a lot more intention. If most times if there's like a phone call, consulting, anything, somebody's asking me to speak, I'm like, hey, there's a price now for that. So even like the book that I'm writing now, I'm writing it with the intention to sell something. Um, my mentor, they call it like B2B, book to business. And I wasn't thinking about that with the other books I was thinking about. So now as I'm writing this book, it's like, okay, make sure this is a funnel for somebody to join my community, to ask me to speak or anything like that. So now, yes, I'm being more intentional with the projects that I'm doing. Previously, no, I wasn't.
Wow. Okay. And I've heard you mention like sort of like a mentor. So where do you find these people at?
Um, just life, just randomly. So I have one mentor that I was at a conference and I was just sitting beside him, didn't know who he was at all, didn't know what he was about, just sitting beside him, just started talking to him, cracking jokes with him, he laughed. We started talking a little bit, wasn't really paying attention to the session. Had a homegirl in the back there, was like, hey, get that man's contact information. He like that. He big. Got his contact information, swapped, found out who he was. He's actually Steve Harvey's mentee. So I was just like, oh, this guy's like that. And so stay connected with him, continue to learn from him, continue to go to conferences and events, and just get connected with people that are like-minded and that are doing things that I aspire to do. And that's really it. Mainly conferences and just talking to people and just being kind. But yeah, that's how.
And were you always sort of like in that mindset, or did you always sort of have those sort of people around you?
Um, Not until I started going to conferences. I think that's when I really started to understand the importance of mentorship. But like prior to that, I wasn't necessarily too concerned about it. I'm an only child, so I've
Oh,
always been like, I'm just going to run everything by myself. Like
that kind of
it's
explains a lot.
only.
That explains. You're never bored
Yeah,
because you're an only child. You know how to entertain yourself. Like that makes a lot of
yeah,
sense.
exactly. So only child with a single mother. So it's just like if I need something, I'm gonna figure it out. If I have a desire, I'm gonna figure out how to get it on my own. So that's kind of had always been my mindset, and I still had that mindset a lot nowadays. And that's I feel like what drives my hustle and me be able to get like a lot of things done without help. But now I've started to realize like help is the way to go. And mentors also give you that guidance and that wisdom that we need to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm an older sister, so not an only
Mhm.
child, but I feel like only children and older siblings, they have like a lot in common in terms of like they're very self motivated and they're going to figure
Yeah,
it out either way because they basically don't have like anybody else to depend on, if that makes sense.
yeah, that makes. Are you the oldest?
I am the oldest.
Okay. Okay. So how long were like what's the age gap between you and the middle child or the next child
Oh,
sibling?
it's only just two of us, so it's only like a 4 or 5
Okay.
age difference, so not that bad.
Okay, I got you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's not that bad.
Yeah. So with all of your projects, so you have a podcast. It's about overcoming imposter syndrome, overthinking, and perfectionism. So how did you
Hmm.
come to that idea? And it's your
Yeah.
second podcast too, right?
Yeah. Second one.
Yeah.
That's a great question. So the way that that came about was one, I kind of wanted to retire the other podcast. Like I enjoyed it, but I wanted to be a little bit more intentional and specific, as I was saying. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start a different podcast, and what should I make it about? And so I realized one of the things I want to do is help creators, whether you are a YouTuber, you are a video editor, you're an author, whether you want to be a podcast host, whatever it is, right? And with someone like myself that's done so many projects and just so many different areas and industries, I don't want to say I'm an expert at it, but you know, I've gotten a lot farther than most people, especially for me to produce so much within a certain amount of time. And I realized that it's because I don't worry about things being perfect. I just wanted to get it done. I don't really overthink things. I'm like, all right, cool. If I think about this too long, it's going to start looking not polished, or I shouldn't say not polished. It's going to start looking almost like discombobulated in my head. I'm like, you know what? I can't put this out.
Yeah.
And then imposter syndrome. We've all experienced imposter syndrome, and I sometimes still experience it to this day. So I was like, you know what? I want to start a podcast where I interview people that have overcome those different type of mental battles, and they are having a lot of success within their career, whether it's corporate or whether it's their entrepreneurship journey, and how they were able to do that to get to the next level. So people can hear these relatable stories. It's like, you know what? I also felt the same way when I was writing my first book, or when I was starting my first business.
Yeah, and I work with like a lot of people like creating their video content on YouTube videos, and it is really all about mindset. Like mindset is like really important, and whether you think you can do something or not is like that's like one of the most, important things in terms of like mindset, because a lot of people hold themselves back because they don't think they can do it, or just because of these preconceived notions that they already sort of have about themselves.
Exactly. And once you can get over that, the world is yours.
So what is what are some good tips that you've gotten on your podcast just about overcoming these things?
One thing that I've gotten is that nothing will ever be 100% for what you expect it to be. So once you get about 80% on the way, be get comfortable with that being the finished product, and that you can always have different iterations of it and improve it over time. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this right now can think about or has seen a book that's like volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, right? They had the first volume, and then they had the next edition, they had the next volume, because they were like, okay, I'm going to improve it a little bit more, or I'm going to add to it. And it's the same thing for anything that we do in life, whether we're talking about a book, a podcast, YouTube channel, your job. Like, it does not matter. You can have the first iteration of it and just continue to learn from it and improve over time. That was one thing that has stuck with me. The next thing is, I had a conversation with one guest. They said you have to be comfortable with being wrong, but you have to be even more comfortable with making a decision. So that was one of the other things that has always stuck with me. Like, be comfortable with making decisions, but also be comfortable with being wrong, and just understand you're wrong. That's cool. Just, I don't want to say don't do it again, because we'll always be wrong in the future, right? Well, we won't always be right, but be comfortable with it and just like learn from it and just grow.
Yeah. So do you have any so one thing about him, he has actually it's like an affirmation album. So like how did you get the idea to sort of like start? I love that album, by the way. It's on my affirmation playlist.
Thank you.
How did you come up with the idea for it?
The idea for that was, I would see different affirmations on like Instagram and whatnot, and I will also see like affirmation journals. I was like, okay, but I want something that I can listen to and fall asleep to. And so I was like, I'm just gonna make an affirmation like album, like or it's the EP. Yeah, the EP. Wait, we're talking about the next level sleeping one, right? And not the reality check.
No, we're
Which
talking
one are we
about
talking about?
reality check. I was you was like, you going to
Oh,
sleep to it. I'm like, it's a hard album to go to sleep to.
oh, my bad. Well, so I actually do have an app. It's like literally an affirmation EP that's like 15 minutes long. That's meant for people to listen to while they sleep, and it gives you affirmations like, "I am success, I am healthy, I am wealthy," and things like that. Um, so yeah, that's what gave me the idea for that affirmation out EP. Maybe like this was back in like 2021. And then the motivational album that you're referring to, what gave me the idea for that was, so I had come across Eric Thomas, and he has some albums like that. I was like, man, this is really cool. I want to make one. And I just never end up making it. And then my mentor put out like 3 of them before I ever got a chance to put out one. I was like, let me go ahead and do this. And so I just worked really hard, and I just ended up creating it. I had all the songs like sitting in the chamber for maybe like a year with the tracks, and I was like, I want to add like 4 or like 5 more. I was overthinking it. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna put it out. So that's how it eventually ended up seeing the light of day. But yeah, I had seen Eric Thomas come out with a couple albums that I really liked that I would play when I worked out. I saw my mentor drop 3 of them before. I even got a chance to put out my first one. I'm just going to release it. Plus, I don't really see people make content like that. So I just wanted to also have another touch point for my brand. That was one of the other ideas for like, okay, people see me on Instagram, they see me on LinkedIn, but I also want people to hit me or be able to, I want to be able to hit people in another space, which is music. And I'm not a rapper, I'm not a singer. If I sing, you may hate me. So I was just like, let me just put out a motivational album. That's how that idea came around.
Yeah, and I mean, I heard you also say that like some of your mentors and your friends, they were also dropping like similar albums. So how important do you think it is, or like how much of an influence do you think your friends and like the people around you can have on you?
Huge, for sure. Whenever you have a circle that influences you, it's only going to challenge you to continue to just elevate. And yeah, it's just that simple. Like whenever you have really good people around you, it's going to continue to elevate you. So we all have conversations about what we're looking to do in the future, what we're working on right now, how we're looking to grow, things like that. We're always reevaluating ourselves and how we can continue to grow in the future. And I think that's the best. Those are the best type of people to have around you.
Yeah, I know me and my friends, we literally like every single month we're on the call, on Zoom, doing phone calls, like doing something. Like this
Mm-hmm.
month we're all reaching out, well, we're reaching out to like past clients and just asking them to get on the call. Like I have like a list of over 100 people. I'm
Wow.
emailing them like, hey, what you doing? Are you gonna get on the call?
Right. Okay. Go ahead and get that follow up money
Yeah, I
as
mean,
well.
I didn't get a lot of responses, but you know, it's okay.
It's
So
okay.
it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to overthinking, what are some effective methods for quieting the mind and staying focused on action rather than all the other things that you're thinking about?
Are we? Were you thinking about or talking about more so like when we're working on a project?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you ask the question one more time?
When it comes to overthinking, what are some like good methods for like quieting the mind, you know, quieting those negative thoughts while we're trying to get a project out?
Great question. Okay, cool. So one thing that I love to do is lo-fi music. That always helps quiet my mind whenever I'm working on something, which is also why I ended up creating another lo-fi album. Um, and the other thing is, it has to be a constant reminder that you're always going to grow from what you're working on right now. And the sooner that you get this piece of content created, published, whatever it is, the sooner that you can continue to grow from it. So that was one thing I had to remind myself, let's just say for the motivational album. It's like, you know what? I'm sitting on this for a long time. Let me just get it out and just see what everyone thinks about it. Because I could feel one type of way. I thought it was going to be, I felt like it was a 6 out of 10, like
Yeah.
in terms of like quality and how people may feel about it. But the responses I got were better than that. I won't say it's a 10 out of 10. I would say maybe people thought it was like a 7 out of 10 or maybe a 7.5 out of 10, but it was more than I expected. And so then I proceeded to ask feedback from it, and then realize like, okay, these are things I can use to grow with. And now whenever I do get around to making the next album, which kind of started working on it already, I'm like, okay, these are the things I can make sure that I am improving on for next time. So that's how I really typically like to get over my overthinking when I'm working on a project, is just reminding myself like, hey, this is where you are today, but the sooner that you get it completed, the sooner that you can get feedback from it and grow to make it better next time.
Yeah. So how many projects are you working on at a given time?
One, if we're talking about a creative project,
Yeah.
for sure, just one. If it's active, because I'm typically like really locked in and I get it completed really, really soon. So yeah, just one.
Good job. I'm trying to be like you.
Thank you. I appreciate I can't focus on too many things at once. It will never get done if I do it that way.
I feel like I can't focus on one thing at once. I'm like, this is boring me. I have to focus on two things at the same time. And then I burn myself out, take a nap, and then try it again. Like, okay, so what does your schedule look like? Like, what hours are you currently putting in? Like, was it always like this? Have you always been putting all those hours? I see you giving me a face right now. Like, what does this look like?
It's a joke with all of my friends that have known me since high school that they've had to make appointments to hang out and talk to me since like freshman year of high school, freshman and sophomore year. We laugh about it. It's like not like a serious like I can't stand you type thing. It's but I've been very busy ever since I was 14. That's because that's when I started working in the television industry. And so ever since then, I was like, okay, I'm in school, high school. I was also taking college classes at the time, playing sports, working, and dating. So it was like my schedule was very busy. So at 14, I had to understand time management, how to make sure I prioritize everything, and whatnot. And so it never slowed down from there. It just only continued to get quote unquote worse. So nowadays my schedule's off right now. I'm not even going to cap to you. It's horrible. I'm waking up around, let's just say 9 a.m. and I will start working maybe around like 10. I'll work from maybe like 10 to 1. Take a little lunch break from 1 to maybe 3. Maybe it just depends on what I feel like doing. And then from there, I'm typically grinding out the work from like 3 to like 7, 8, whatever it is, sometimes even 9 o'clock. And then my fiance and I will spend time with each other. And then right now, again, I'm not even gonna cap to you, probably playing Yu-Gi-Oh on my phone from like 10 to like midnight because they just came out with an emulator on the iPhone. And so I'm reliving my childhood. But when I have a lot more structured schedule, it's more so like I'm waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to the gym from like 4:30 to about 6:30. After that, I'm reading for 30 minutes. Then I'm doing some journaling, some meditation. Then about like 8, 9 o'clock, that's when I'm starting my day, and everything else kind of just falls into place. But then I'm going to sleep around like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then that, since I'm not playing Yu-Gi-Oh, when I got my schedule and all that type of stuff together, that just gives me back so much time so I can go to sleep earlier. But that's typically what my schedule's looking like.
So how do you prioritize your tasks, and also how do you find sort of like a work-life balance? Like, you have fiance, you have friends, family, like how are you prioritizing even like your me time, like you make time for your video games? Like, how do you do that?
I had to figure out what is the most important thing for the day/week. Typically I have like a one task that I know. Yeah, it is a full schedule. I have like one thing that I'm like, all right, this is what I need to get done today, and like it's the most important thing. So I always tell people, like whenever I'm doing any type of coaching, I'm like, you have to figure out what is the most important thing for you to get done that will have the largest impact on your life. So that's the way that I really approach every single day. And as long as I get that one task done, everything else will start to fall into place. If I get it done today, cool. If I don't, cool. With the way that technology is so advanced, like you can have a year, not a year, but like a 6 months within 1 month with how productive you can be. So I don't really stress about like, okay, I need to get everything done today. I just need to get at least the most important thing done today. And that's like the 3 hours I'll be locked in with something. So that's how I figure out my priorities. Like what's going to have the largest impact on my life today. For some people, it's just like we're talking about being entrepreneurs. Like remember on my podcast, we were talking about sales, right? So maybe for some people, you need to reach out and do 50 cold calls for today. That's the most important thing for you. So like, what is that most important thing? So I figured that out on a daily basis, or I haven't figured out, but like I review it for the week. When it comes to the me time, it's just whenever I get around to it, honestly. Like if I feel like I'm working too much, I chill out. I'll maybe scroll on TikTok a little bit, again, play some games. the beautiful thing about it is my fiance, she likes playing Call of Duty. So our quality time, our quality time, a lot of nights will be us playing Call of Duty for like 2 hours, but also like decompressing on like how each other's days were. So I think I'm very fortunate and blessed to have a fiance that has a good path, like a shared pastime, because that makes life so much easier. Plus, she's also like really like a hustler, like I am, so she understands.
Yeah, you have like every gamer boy's dream fiance, right? You have a gamer girl. You tapped in.
Yeah, facts. I'm really trying to get her to start streaming. I think it would be great. I think she'll be great at it.
Streaming what?
Cool. Call of Duty. She likes playing Warzone. She likes playing Assassin's Creed. She likes. I think she will also be like just good for like the just chatting section, because she has great conversation. She's really funny. Yeah, I think she would be really good at streaming. I think she would like really do really well if she put energy into it.
She should definitely do that. Like, and there's not like a lot of gamer girls either, so she'd stand out. Black gamer girls as well. So like that would really
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I clip this and send it to her.
Clip type, send her to me.
Yeah.
I can help her out. So can you share any like things that you've had to sort of like confront in your journey, any like obstacles or anything that was like really hard for you to get over?
I've had a lot of obstacles. There are always obstacles. It just depends on what type of obstacles you maybe want to hear about.
Top 3 that really scared the crap out of you. How about that? Like it was really hard for you to get over mentally.
I would not say that I've had any type of obstacles that have scared me. The reason why is because I have built up a lot of confidence in myself and my abilities to see things through at the end of the day. And so I know that no matter what I'm going through right now, that I always will figure it out. And I think that mindset came from me fracturing my leg during the race and then making like a whole thing out of it where it was like, okay, like I'm a reporter now. They're asking me to be the producer. Like once I realized I could do that and turn life around from a fractured leg to getting ESPN Plus contract, I was just like, I can do anything. So I've never really been scared about anything. One thing that I'm still recovering from today was that I had this, goodness, I don't even know what I would call it. It was like a job opportunity. Let's just go with that. That put me in a situation that had put me down financially about 10 to 15K in like financial debt. And I went maybe like a couple months without a job. So it just kept on getting like, I kept on digging myself deeper and deeper into a hole. I was just able to make enough money to be able to pay rent and eat for the most part. But you know, that interest on credit cards would kill you. So I would say that's like one of the biggest things recently, would be that situation, especially since I'm still digging myself out of it, but I'm not letting it hinder me because, you know, like we were just talking about before, your boy's going on a trip in about 24 hours. So I'm still going to live my best life. But it is what it is because most of America is in debt, but it is what it is.
You know, that's a great mindset to have about that. So like, what are your tips for like, financial stability for creators or either like managing finances and even debt, following your dreams?
Yeah. So for creators, you want to really figure out how you're going to monetize what you do. A lot of us, we create for fun, but at one point we have to, if it's taking too much time out of our day, we got to start monetizing it. So I think that's one thing that you have to ask yourself. Like if you're doing it, let's just say once a week, and you really don't, like a person can stream for once a week. It's cool. Like that's really not taking much time out of your day. But if you're sitting here investing a lot of money into a setup, maybe you're streaming like, and setups can be expensive, right? Like $5,000 plus. And then you're streaming, let's just say 4 times a day. I mean, a day, a week, or whatever it may be. You're doing podcast episodes 3 times a week, but you're taking a lot of time to write your show notes. And this is a part-time job at that point. So if once you start putting part-time job hours into your creation, you have to start figuring out, how can I monetize this? And I can't necessarily tell people right now how to do that because I don't know what everyone does individually. But I will say YouTube University is free. And anything that you are more than likely doing right now, somebody is already making money from it. So there's somebody or something that you can learn from in order to monetize that. But the main thing is, if you are putting in part-time hours right now as a creator for whatever it is that you're doing, figure out a way to get paid from it, even if it's just a little bit of change, because it will allow you to realize that what you're doing is valuable to people. And it's just a matter of time until more people see it and it catches fire to the point that now it's actually paying you part-time and full-time and beyond.
Not even that. Once you spend $600 on your passions or your hobbies, it's considered a business now in the United States. So you can write all of that stuff off. So, I mean, I feel like at that point you might as well. I mean, but some people really don't feel like doing all of that. But I feel like then it just becomes like an expensive hobby. But I feel like somewhere in the back of people's mind, like I feel like if you're a creator, you are very entrepreneurial minded. Like, like you could possibly go part-time with it. It's just a matter of like your mindset and what your thoughts are about it.
Mindset is everything. And everything we do in life, but especially for creators, it can make or break somebody's career.
Yeah. So you work with a lot of creators. What type of mindsets do you see is the most common in your group?
The most common thing I see is people afraid to actually put something out.
Yeah.
Like to actually, to put it out, and like the lack of that and the lack of clarity. Those are like the two biggest things. So yeah, being afraid to put things out and lack of clarity.
How do you usually like recommend that they get more clear? Like what is your process? This guy has a membership now, by the way.
So I sit down with everyone when they first join, and it's like a 2-hour call, 1 to 2 hours. Some people has been up to 3 hours that we sit down. We literally just talk about your life. Because I'm also a life coach. So it's like I had to understand everything that's going on in order for us to figure out how you're going to thrive as a creator. Like it's different. Because some people are like, oh, like life coach, sometimes like a therapist. No. I don't have a couch. I do, but it's not for that. It's just for me to sleep on. But we had to understand what's affecting us every single day, every single month, and every single year to understand how we can thrive as a creator. So that's one of the things I have to do with people in order for me to get the clarity to understand how I can help them. But also sometimes they end up just talking through it themselves because of the questions I may ask them. But that's one of the main things. Like I had a clarity call with someone in the group this maybe past Tuesday. I think we were on the phone for like 2 hours, just me, her, and this whiteboard behind me right now. And we just talked everything out. We tried to figure out like what's going on the next 5 years. What is she doing right now that's going to actually contribute to that? What type of lifestyle does she want to live? How is she presenting herself right now to be able to do that? Just going down that type of rabbit hole.
Yeah. And are you the type of coach where it's sort of like a tough love, or are you a little bit more, friendlier?
I'm an only child, tough love. So yeah, it's going to be tough love. I'm a very friendly person. But when it comes to coaching, I'm more so like, okay, I don't want to hear no excuses. Let's just get this done. And I think that's also maybe the athlete in me, because most athletes would never have like a friendly coach. They may be friendly coaches, but at the end of the day, it's just like, I need you to run this route. I need you to do whatever this is, like, so we can execute on whatever our goal is. So I'm not necessarily like, I am, again, friendly, but more like tough love. Like, I don't want to hear no excuses. If I don't hear something that's like legitimately stopping you from getting something done or completed, I don't want to talk about it. We're just gonna move on.
Yeah, I feel like I
For
feel
real.
that. I feel there's a big older sister. That's kind of how I am with my clients too. They're like, dude, she's always bossing us around. Sorry, like I can't help myself. Kind of sorry.
Yeah. So. I feel you. It is what it is. People get results, so that's the main thing.
That is the main thing, that people get results. So can you share any like memorable success stories or transformations that you've had with your clients so far?
Yeah. One of them was just recent. I have someone within the community. She, in the beginning of the year, she was like, I want to start streaming on Twitch. And I was like, all right, cool. So we talked about everything that she wanted to do. And we set out a plan for her to do it. And she wasn't all the way executing on it at first. And then like we had a follow-up call. And I was just like, hey, I need you to do XYZ. I need you to do this within the next 72 hours. So you can be able to reach your goal to become a Twitch affiliate. And so then I called her wife, and I was like, I need you to be on her as well to make sure that she gets this done. And so then a couple of days goes by, the goal doesn't get hit, but then I was stalking her Twitch, and then I saw that she hit the goal, and I hit her up. I was like, oh my gosh, you hit it. Congratulations. She was like, I didn't even realize that I hit it myself. So it was really cool to one, to see that she hit her goal that she had been looking to hit for a couple of weeks, but also to even deliver that information to her, because I think it happened like overnight. So she had gained like a couple of more subscribers or followers overnight. So she didn't realize it happened. That was one of the most recent things that I can remember. Another thing is I had one person within the community. They secured a contract with a really huge nonprofit organization, and the work that they did with them was able to win them some really good prizes to help out the nonprofit. So she was really happy about that. Got a chance to be able to put that also on her her website to promote it. It was like the first like really big name company or organization that she's worked with. So that was another really cool thing to see.
Nice. So what are some, well, with the rise of like social media, like how do you think personal branding has evolved in recent years, and where do you think it's going?
Ooh, great question. So personal branding nowadays is definitely something that we have to be more intentional with being online. Because one thing that I want everyone listening to this realize is that you've always had a personal brand. You have a personal brand right now, whether you realize it or not. Your personal brand is simply how someone perceives you. And for everyone, that's different. Like, I may have so many different people that perceive me in a different way. I have some people that maybe I haven't spoken to in years, so they just know me as the track runner, the cross country runner. I know some people that literally know me as like the boxer. Some people that just know me as the videographer, ESPN guy, speaker. I don't know what it is, but it's however you present yourself. I truly don't. But however you present yourself is how people will perceive you, and that's your personal brand. And with a lot of things being online, we have to be careful, but at the same time intentional with what we post, because every time we post something, that is somebody downloading mentally here, downloading information about who we are, what we do, what we stand for, our beliefs, all those things. And over time, that will be the identity that they make whenever they think about our name. And so you want to be able to have that and control it in a way that it's always going to be something that's going to benefit you in the long run. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts around it. And it's not just posting on social media. It's way more than posting on social media. Because for some people, it may not even be someone that's like active on social media like that. It doesn't necessarily mean marketing on Instagram. It's deeper than that. But yeah, and where do I think it's going? I think it's only going to become more and more digital. I think it's even going to get to the point where it's going to be like Black Mirror, where we're going to have some headsets, like almost like the Apple Vision Pro, where we're going to be showing up into these virtual um, not augmented reality, but virtual reality spaces. I'm actually kind of excited for that, to be real with you, because I would love to be able to go to like networking events virtually with people that are like all across the world and not have to spend $1,000 for a plane ticket every single time I want to do something like that. But
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
I'm saying, right?
That's a good
But
idea.
but I think the as we continue to grow with technology, we have to be more careful with how we present ourselves online at all times, because the digital footprint is becoming more sticky, and so you have to really be careful with how you show up, what you post, even like what's in the background of, let's just say, a photo or a video. So I think we just really need to be more careful, but also be intentional.
Spoken like a true college professor. He just gave you guys a speech on personal branding.
Oh,
That
Marie.
sounds like something my college professor would say. Seriously. Okay, last question, and then we're gonna hop off here. But what do you think about niching down in terms of like personal branding? Like, do you think you have to? Do you think it'd be easier if you did it? Because you're a person that wears multiple hats. So, what do you think about niching down?
I tell people to niche down. Um, I don't niche down now, but this is it's. I love that you asked this question. It's a very interesting take. So it's hard for some people.
Yeah.
I respectfully, not everybody is going to have like 10 things that they do and they want to be known for. Um, I don't. Even though I do 10 things, I don't want to be known for all 10. Like, I stopped talking about my videography and video editing years ago because I wanted people to stop hitting me up about it. So I did. I was like, I don't want to do this for people anymore.
Dang.
That's just my preference.
He was tired. I get
I
it.
was. My RAM wasn't fast enough. My Adobe kept crashing. I barely had the patience for myself, nevertheless, for someone else. But I think that I think we had to ask ourselves, like I was saying before about the personal branding, what do you want to be known for? And for some people, it may be multiple things, but for other people, sometimes one thing is all you need to be known for in order for you to live whatever life that you want to live. And so I'll even use myself for example. Well, let me also back up real quick. I think you can figure out an umbrella of things that you do and put it under one personal brand.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody can do that, that's perfect. That's what I do. I'm looking to do. I'm in the process of doing. I'll be honest. I'm in the process. I'm always on a journey. But it shouldn't be like completely random things. Like, it shouldn't be me talking about rock climbing, then the next day I'm talking about being a plant dad. And then the next day it's me being a go-kart enthusiast, and then something else completely different. Like, none of those things really match up. So in my terms of my personal brand, ever since I started my Phenom brand, I said that I was going to be a motivational speaker. Why I said that, I really don't remember. I just wanted to motivate people, I guess, whatnot. But I continued to do things underneath that umbrella of like, I'm going to motivate people. And I started having subsections of it. So the books, right? Makes sense for a speaker to have a book. A lot of speakers have books. Podcasts. It makes sense for a speaker to have a podcast. They're speaking on it. They're motivating people, whatever it may be within the podcast. Now, me being a college instructor, right? I'm still speaking and educating people on the topic of digital marketing, which is in a way to, of course, be able to brand yourself, be able to brand a business, being able to sell a product, put something down, funnel, things like that. So I am motivating people to take action steps on the digital marketing career, whether they want to be entrepreneurs, freelance, or whatever it is. TEDx talks, again, motivational speaker, TEDx, it aligns. So the albums, right? The motivational album is a random project, may seem like it, but it still falls under the same umbrella. So there's nothing wrong with having multiple things that you like to do, but you want to make it relate to one thing. That way, is somebody like if somebody tells you that you do all these type of things, you'll be like, oh, this makes sense because it aligns with whatever goal, project, whatever it is that you've done. But if I started posting about plants on Instagram, like I promise you, people will be like, oh, this is dope, but like this is random, right? But everything else, it doesn't seem random. So that would be my 2 cents on that.
Alrighty.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense. I always say that too. Like I've even created a video about niching down or not, and I said like, you know, it's good to have one topic. Like for example, my big broad topic is video marketing. There's so many things that can go under that though. There's video editing, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, TikTok, live streaming. A lot of things go under the sort of like video marketing umbrella. So my niche is video. It's as specific as I can get without, you know, putting myself into a pigeonhole.
Yeah, that makes sense. I got you.
Yeah, but you know, you have a free gift for the audience. Can you tell us what it is?
Yes. So it's been a long day. I want to say we said there was going to be like a free consulting call.
Yeah, it was a brand audit.
Yes, brand audit. Thank you so much. Just listen, we're preparing for this trip. My mind is everywhere right now. But yeah, a free brand audit. So whenever you listen to this, just DM me on Instagram at phenomspeaks and just say brand audit. And we will set up a time and get everything rolling.
All right, nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on. There was a few people in here that, yeah, they were definitely listening to you. I see the numbers up there. They were there for a while too. So I hope somebody was encouraged to start a personal brand or, I don't know, motivated in some type of way, right?
For sure.
And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and I know I'll talk to you soon. So this won't be the last time. So I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Okay. Hey.